Hello and welcome to another Forza Motorsport 7 video. Now when it comes to supercars, I've always thought that Ferraris have always made the best ones. For example, the Ferrari F40, the Ferrari 458, the LaFerrari and so on. They've just always felt special. They might not have always been the quickest supercars, but they've always felt special to me. That's why I consider them the best. Which brings me neatly onto Mclaren. Now McLaren, yes, while their cars may be a bit quicker than Ferraris most of the time, they just don't have the specialness of Ferrari to me. But McLaren have come up with a new supercar that may well change my mind. It's called the 720S, and this is what happened when I took it around the Top Gear test track for my first impressions. Okay, so we're now here with the Mclaren 720S at the Top Gear test track. I thought this would be fitting, it being in the Top Gear car pack. This is to see what my first impressions of this mighty machine is, but first I'm just going to let you hear what it sounds like and hear my first impressions on the sound as well. Well, there's no doubt it does sound pretty good. Yeah, I mean it's not the best sounding car in the world. I don't think it really sounds as good as a Ferrari, to be honest. But it does have a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 pumping out 710 brake horsepower. So let's see what that can do around the Top Gear test track. Oh my god, we're already at 60, third gear, fourth gear. This accelerates incredibly quick at 200 km an hour already, braking for the first corner. Now I have got braking line on, I usually have it on anyway, but just because this is me getting used to the car. Oh, bit of sideways, I think I may have clipped the car coming into Chicago there. Keep it in third. I think the back is going to be rather lively in this thing. It is quite light. It's 2,900 pounds, I believe. Braking hard into Hammerhead, it is stupidly quick. Stupidly quick out of the corners. And honestly, so far, it's relatively controlled. That may, oh god, well, kind of controlled, as I say, sliding out of Hammerhead there to follow through. We're definitely not flat through there. But I can actually feel the back starting to want to come out there. Through the tyres, we're going to have to brake there. High speeds, honestly at high speeds it does feel very controlled. Braking into, this is the penultimate corner, getting a very nice line through there, braking into Cambon. It is actually quite nice to drive. This is the first time I've driven it properly, well ever actually, and yeah, I do actually really quite like it. It is incredible acceleration, slight on the grass there. Again, braking to the first corner. Oh god, I do like this thing. It is very nice to drive. It is I don't know, it's a bit oversteery at points coming out of corners, but honestly I feel like I can handle that. It doesn't have really a hint of understeer. And if it does understeer, again, this is my first impression, so I'm not saying this definite. I mean, I may get used to the car a bit more later in the video and say other stuff, but this is obviously my first impressions. A bit of understeer from the front, but I can solve that with lashings of oversteer. With the 710 brake horsepower V8, I do like this thing. I've seen Lewis review this car on his channel, and he said that it was a bit too oversteery, and I can kind of see where he's coming from. That was maybe me just being a bit stupid there, but honestly I can control it. I've seen people review this and talk about this, so I've seen this on this game. This is just my first impressions driving it. It is really rather good. I feel like I can control the oversteer really rather well, and I'm actually really interested to see how it does on the leaderboard later in the video, because right now the quickest car on the leaderboard is the Porsche 911 GT2 RS with a 1:09.4 I believe. So it will be quite interesting to see if this tops the leaderboard. Yeah, a bit of understeer coming out of Chicago, may have overdone that a bit, but it is coming out of corners, and the brakes are just amazing. So into corners and out of corners it is amazing, and as I said, there is a bit of both understeer and oversteer, but if you're not a complete idiot with the throttle and the steering and pretty much everything, then you can keep it under control, as is the case with many fast supercars like this. Oh, getting a bit wide through fall through. Onto the tyres. Maybe could have got a bit more of an inside line through there. I do like this thing. It is very good. Getting a nice line through there. It's quite easy to get used to. Relatively easy to get used to. It's yeah, I do quite like it. I mean, this starts off in our class, I believe. So yeah, it's a very nice car to drive, which I kind of wasn't expecting it to be. I was kind of expecting it to be maybe a little bit leery. I was expecting to maybe be a bit disappointed, but honestly, I'm not. This car is, at least from my first impressions anyway, amazing. I'm very impressed. So, after my first impressions of this car, I am really rather impressed with the 720S. However, how will it fare up against one of its rivals, the Ford GT? These cars are fairly similar. I believe the Ford does have less power. I think less weight, although I could be horribly wrong on that. So I think the stats are fairly similar, but there's only one way to find out which is quicker. So, in 3, 2, 1, go.
The Ford has 647 horsepower. I'm pretty sure it weighs like 3,200 pounds. I could be very wrong on the weight though.
Yeah. In that case, it is less power and more weight than the McLaren. However, it is actually putting up a good fight when it comes to acceleration. I'm going to back out of that one, because this corner is very mean and quite dangerous.
Oh god, don't switch the grass, don't switch the grass up.
Oh god.
Terrible!
This is terrifying. We're racing two very expensive hypercars, supercars.
I have two less cylinders than the McLaren, but I'm accelerating away from him.
Yeah. I'm just gonna floor it.
Oh god, I just wasn't putting the power on because I didn't know where you were.
Okay. Oh god. Yeah, these two cars are actually pretty evenly matched. The McLaren has maybe about 10 or so more PI. I think it's like 15 more PI than that. As for looks, I don't know. I'm split.
Oh, for me it's the Ford, all the way.
For you it's the Ford. I don't know. From the back, I think the McLaren looks absolutely stunning. The front, I do quite like as well.
I don't like the wing on the McLaren.
But like Lewis said yesterday, that the headlights on the McLaren look like they just got a handle that you can just pull out. It kind of does. It kind of does look a bit like that. But I don't know. I like it. It looks very precise and I don't know, scientific. And I know.
I mean, that's what McLaren always is, isn't it? It's
that is true.
Precise, and
I mean, for some cars like the 12C, I was not a huge fan of the looks of that thing. It just looked too scientific.
Very
but this
boring,
thing,
the 12C.
Yeah, it's incredibly mid-tier supercar. I hate that thing. I don't hate it, but you know, I just have no interest in it.
It accelerates like mad, though.
That is true. It's starting to become my one of my favourite supercar companies. It's this and Ferrari is battling it out right now. Like if the 488 Pista thing came into this game, then we'd have one hell of a showdown between this and that. But Ferrari doesn't really have a competition for this right now, sort of, because the LaFerrari is too quick. The 488's too slow.
488.
But you know, right in the middle of the two. In the Ford GT, is there sort of any understeer or oversteer in that thing? Or is it kit stain planted all the time?
Understeer, there's a tiny smidge of it. Obviously, when you push your car too quickly around a corner, there's always that kind of sense of the front wheels just like, nah, there's no grip here, we can't do that. But like, there's not really a sense of understeer per se, and oversteer, like, it's incredibly tame, the Ford. Like, I can get out these corners and just flat out straight away in like second and third gear, so that's something to be proud of in the Ford.
The McLaren,
yeah, like,
no, I don't know. It can put its power down at higher speeds, lower speeds. If you floor it like a moron, it will go sideways. As is the case with many supercars.
Yeah, with many supercars. I was going to say Forza cars then. Supercars is what I meant.
And there we go, across the line in the McLaren.
GT is about 5-6 seconds behind.
The lap times, there's only about a 2 second difference, I believe, in the lap times there. Interesting.
Yeah. Usually get a clean one, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there we go. The 720S is a lot quicker than the 4GT around a circuit. However, I think now what we'll do is compare them in a straight line. Right. Let's see. I'm very interested. I don't know who's going to win here. Shift. Through the gears like they're absolutely
Holy
nothing.
acceleration in that McLaren!
This just shows how quickly.
Incredible!
9.7 quarter mile.
I got the exact same time then as I did in my review for this GT. Like the exact same time.
Well, there we go. That just shows how quick this thing accelerates. Maybe when I was doing the first impressions, you didn't quite get a sense of just how quick this accelerates.
Under 10-second quarter mile. A sub 10-second quarter mile.
For a non-modified car, that is insane. Absolutely insane. Just, okay, there we go. Once you get past about second gear, it is gone. Bit of wheel spin at the start, but 9.7 again. Oh.
Yeah, you go. It accelerates so quickly.
Yeah.
Like,
the 4GT is a
last
fast
thing with
car.
McLaren, I find, is that. Wait, Quinn, are you still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. You just like died, and I was like, okay. But yeah, the thing with the McLaren is, if you can find the grip in it and find the traction out the corners, you're not gonna get out accelerate by anything, unless it's like all-wheel drive and got a lot of power.
Yeah.
Like the McLaren accelerates so unbelievably quickly.
Oh.
And but yeah, like you said, the Ford isn't a slow car.
Yeah,
like,
definitely not. But in the quarter mile, it is quicker than the 4GT. So we're gonna find out in the mile if it's quicker. This should be very interesting because it has more speed. I'm honestly, I don't know who's gonna win here. I don't know.
No, this is the review for the 720 on your channel, but I've secretly won the GT to win. I'm just come on. So there's the initial acceleration from the McLaren. It just flies.
Yeah.
And it's still going.
It is still going. It is very much still going. Almost halfway now. I'm actually still pulling.
It's still accelerating.
I don't think the GT's got the advantage enough on speed to really pull back. I'm still pulling by the end, 200 miles an hour.
Wow! At 198.
198. So I would have been still pulling for quite a while down the road there. So, as we've learned, the 720S is quicker than the 4GT in every single category: circuit, quarter mile, and mile. So, let's move on to the next challenge with the 720S.
I hate that you said the 720 is better than the 6GT in every single way. It's so annoying. I was gonna be like, nah, like the GT is so much cheaper, but then I'm like, no, the GT costs like more than $500,000.
So, as that just proved, the Mclaren 720S is incredibly quick. As we just saw, it just demolished the Ford GT. And that has got me wondering, is the Mclaren 720S as fast as a supercar, or is it verging on hypercar levels? So that's why I've got here the Mclaren P1, and what we're going to do is compare it to some other McLarens of the past. We're going to compare it to the P1, the predecessor, the 650S, and the McLaren F1 way back from the 1990s. So it should be very interesting to see how the 720S holds up to these mighty McLarens. Okay, so each McLaren will have 3 laps at Yas Marina to set their quickest possible lap time, and we start with the McLaren P1. It is incredibly quick. It's one of the Holy Trinity, obviously. I don't think it will probably be as quick as the P1, but it will be interesting to see how close it will get to the P1. Okay, so the first lap was a 2:19.4. We still have 2 more laps to go, obviously. So let's see if we can make that lap time as good as possible in the P1. Getting up to 195 before braking. I think I could have even gone a bit quicker there, before braking for that tight left-hander. We're getting into the twistier sections of the track there, just up ahead. But the P1 does handle it with ease. The handling is pretty good on this thing. slight loss of grip coming through the final corner. That might have slightly ruined it, but that is a 2:15.7. Made the lap time better by about 3.7 seconds. Can we make it even better? I feel like we can, because the last couple of laps have been a bit scruffy. Ooh, may have gone a bit too quick through there. That will dirty the lap. I'll just have to go off trying to, I say, guess what the lap time is. I think it might be slower anyway, as we can see we're 3/10 down. And here we are, across the line. That was about a 2:17 anyway, so there we go. A 2:15.7 is the time for the McLaren P1, and that is what one of the times that the 720S will have to beat. Okay, so we're now here with the 650S for its run around Yas Marina. 3 laps, as we did with the P1. The P1 got a 2:15.7 around Yas Marina, so yeah, obviously this probably won't get as quick as the P1 did, but it will be interesting to sort of see the contrast of all the McLarens I'm going to be taking around here. See how they've improved over the decades, if you like. Okay, so for that first lap we have a 2:24.9. We are practically, well, we are 9 seconds down on what the P1 got for its quickest lap in the 650S. I don't know, it just doesn't, that started my lap as well. Doesn't really matter because the first one was dirty as well. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it has as much grip at the front as I maybe would like it to. And for the second lap we get 2:22.2, so that is made the lap time better by about 2.5 seconds there. Okay, so for the final lap we get I think that was a 2:22.7, so the second lap will be the best lap at a 2:22.2. Okay, so once again 3 laps in the central driving position McLaren F1. Should be very interesting to see how what is still currently the quickest naturally aspirated car in the world, road legal naturally aspirated car in the world, can do around here. What can we get? Can we hit 180 by the time? Oh, 179. I think I just saw. That's, I think, as late as I mean, I could have maybe squeezed 180 out of that. I should be in first here because the gears are way longer than I would have expected them to be. I do like the handling on this thing. This is, for a car that's, what, 25 years old, it is very good. I do really like it. I was expecting maybe not to like it. I was expecting it maybe to be too orientated to straight line speed, but it does have the trousers when it comes to the corners. So while I maybe prefer this handling to the 650S, we are actually about a second slower than the 650S's first time. 2:25.7, and we have just started this lap. Whoops. Okay, so in the second lap, it was quite scruffy, so we've only bettered it by about 1.5 seconds, or 2:24.1. We are still a good 2 or so seconds off of the 650. So let's really push it and see what we can do. Try not to be too scruffy. Okay, coming on to the start-finish straight now. It is going to be a dirty lap, so I'm just going to have to see what it is. I believe that was a 2:24 dead that it just clicked over to as I crossed the line there. So just to clarify, the times for the McLarens, the P1 did it in a 2:15.7, the 650S did it in a 2:22.2, and the F1 did it in a 2:24.0. So let's see if the 720S can do any better of any of those. Okay, so we're now here with the Mclaren 720S. It's quicker than a 4GT, but is it quicker than its predecessors, at least the 650 and the F1? I hope it's quicker than them, but how close can it get to that P1? I obviously don't think it's going to be quicker than the P1, but how close will it get to the P1 is the big question here. Coming up to the start finish line now, we are actually really rather close to the P1. I believe the P1's starting time was a 2:17 and we're at 2:18 just now. I think we could get, maybe if I push, within a second of that 2:15. That was 185 there, just saw it click over, and we are well stopped. Honestly, the brakes in this thing are just amazing. This is actually quicker than the McLaren F1 down that straight, which I really wasn't expecting. Okay, coming on to the start finish straight of the second lap, what are we going to get? We're going to get a 216.6. Sorry. That is within a second of the P1. Amazing, quite frankly. It was a bit of a scruffy lap. We could be able to tidy a few things up, so we could even get even quicker than that. That is 0.9 seconds slower than the P1. Amazing. Okay, now my lap is dirty coming round for the final few corners, so I'm just going to have to look at the final second and see what time I did. With the dirty lap, come on, let's see. Oh, that was a 2:16.2. I know that lap said a 2:18, but that was a 2:16.2 or 3, I believe it said there. And the P1 did a 2:15.7. That is within half a second now of the P1's time. And this is meant to be a supercar. So far, we've proved that this is an amazing car to drive. It's faster than a 4GT in every way, and it is verging on hypercar fast. However, there is still one last thing we need to do with the 720S. And of course, the last thing we need to do with the 720S is send it around our Sebring test track. And to do that, we're going to hand it over to our brand new Time Racing driver. Some say that he has a tattoo of the Forza logo on his foot, and that his favourite video game is Crossword. All we know is it's not the Stig, but it is the Stig's digital cousin. Stig's digital cousin racing off the line there, 0 to 60 in about 2.9 seconds in the Mclaren 720S with that 710 horsepower, 4 litre twin turbocharged V8. This could have a very good chance of beating the Porsche 911 GT2 RS that is currently at the top of the leaderboard, getting a bit of a wiggle into the faster section of the track. Look at it cornering so flat with that mid-engine downforce. It does have a lot of downforce through the fast corners, so yeah, I was expecting it to do well through that section. We're now getting into the slower sections of the track. Stig clipping the apex there, coming into the sort of tricky 90-degree rights. They really squeeze out the oversteer out of cars, but this just stays planted absolutely amazing through there, and it's staying planted through there as well. No hint of understeer or even oversteer, surprisingly. Coming into the last corner, this is probably one of the trickiest corners of the lot. Doesn't get the inside apex, but it does get a late apex. Still cornering incredibly flat, no hint of oversteer or indeed understeer for that matter. And it is the 720S across the line. And the time for the McLaren 720S is a 1 minute 7.42, making it 2 seconds quicker than the Porsche 911 GT2 RS. Absolutely amazing. I mean, considering it has maybe about 19 horsepower more, it is amazing. Like, it's 2 seconds quicker than the McLaren F1 GT, 2 seconds quicker than the Aerolatum. A track-built, track-focused car. It's just completely dominated the board. It is absolutely amazing. I actually don't know if any car will beat that in the near future, or indeed ever. So yeah, it will be definitely very interesting to see. I am extremely impressed with this car. So, the big question, Do I think the new McLaren 720S is better than a Ferrari? Well, it may well be faster and better on a track. However, as I said at the start of the video, Ferraris have always felt special to me. They've always felt passionate and felt like they can have a joke with them. Sure, the new McLaren may be very fast and very, very, very good to drive, but you feel like you can never make a joke with it. You feel like someone at the production line has never told a joke to one of their workers. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment and subscribe if you're already to my channel. But until the next video, goodbye.